Hi, this is Chris Simon,
Tracy, Royce,
Luke Rodvold,
and this is the Red Room. Tracy, Luke, and I jump on every week to talk about real estate, acquisition,
a lot of fix and flip,
and design,
dispositions,
Airbnbs,
financial independence, retire early.
We always have a new guest every single week.
We're going to have a lot of fun, all right?
So if you're interested in any or all of those, make sure to join us on the Red Room podcast.
And subscribe to the Red Room.
Share it with your friends or join us on the Phoenix RIA Facebook. The scary intro is over.
Yeah.
So interesting market. We got the we hit a 20-year high on the 10-year bond. I don't know if anybody knows that or not, but 20-year high. So that means the mortgage rates are as high as they've been in 20 years. But the state's still kind of sluggishly moving in August, which is weird, you know. But us as wholesalers, obviously we need the retail guy to keep moving for our future sales, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. If it just log jams and it log jams back on us, it just takes a little longer to get there. So, but yeah, just crazy. Now, the government did start buying back bonds, and it's ticked down a little bit the last couple days, but we're still at like 4.65 on the 10-year, and that's a little bit of the real estate update. Anybody seen anything different, anything crazier going on out there?
No, but I do think that there's certainly some financial creativity that's happening with bonds, like you're saying, Chris, to calm the market a little bit and keep things steady. And I think it's going to be an interesting Q4.
Yep. So with that, there is also the Novation King who maybe one of the pioneers of Novations that helps homeowners get a little bit more for their money, helps the investor not have to take the risk of buying the property, doing the full rehab process. It's kind of a win-win for everybody. So it's good for the investor because you don't have to buy it, take it down, rehab it, do all the stuff. And it's a little bit better for the homeowner because they're not getting our 60 cents, or what do you offer, Luke, like 50? 45?
Come on. Let's be real here. You can't even get a house if it's not 60.
So thanks for jumping on, Rich. How are things?
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. Now, pioneer, maybe one of the louder ones, right? Definitely Novation's been going on for a little minute, but Novations have been amazing. And it's still probably 80% of my business right now, and about 20% wholesale. But it's been interesting. So last year, the end of last year, kind of rough. You know what I mean? Kind of rough. Just on market, Q4, not that great. But this year, from January on, we've seen a big pickup with things. So yeah, I've been seeing stuff move quicker. We've been doing a lot of the PPL, the cheap PPL leads, and then of course the JV leads. But I'm going through about 200 leads a day right now with my team, between 200 and 250 leads a day from online leads, and we're jamming pretty good.
And Rich, qualify that a little bit for people that might not be familiar with you. Is that Arizona based or is that nationwide?
So fully nationwide. And when I say PPL, for those that aren't familiar, it's pay per lead. So just like you can run your own Google Ads account and either you manage it or someone else manages it, there's also these websites that are essentially vending machines for leads where you put in your credit card and then the leads start flowing in. And for us, it's really good because we can get them on demand. I can get them for cheap because the leads I want, nobody else wants. I'm like, give me your cheap nationwide ones. I don't care if it's in the middle of nowhere. I don't care about condition as long as they want to sell. And it's been great because it's there's tons of those leads. They're super cheap. We run through quite a few of them, but we can get deals done that, like, if we need to wholesale it or even fix and flip it, or there's really no other strategy where you can make a transaction happen short of maybe creative finance for some of them. But it's been awesome, because these people normally, they need help with stuff. They need money for moving, or the place needs to be cleaned out. So the ones we end up, signing and completing, it's a win-win. So,
So what?
Rich, quick question for you. So I was going to ask, do you think that, part of the reason why you've, been able to stay steady and have a good year so far this year, do you think that has helped out the fact that because people have had a hard time selling their houses, do you think that people are willing to try to go get even more creative right now? Because it's like, obviously it's like, if I can't sell it, and if most of the feedback that they're getting on the listing is saying, oh, well, the house isn't renovated, it needs some work, but then you're offering, another, option for them where it's like, hey, we'll come and put a little bit of money into the property. The things that are popping up from what your agents, clients are saying is that they don't like this, they don't like this. Well, we'll come in and fix those items and get it looking better, and then put it back on the market a little bit higher. I'm assuming that's got to be huge for you right now.
Funny that you mentioned that. So, like, honestly, most of the people we deal with have no interest in it being on the market. Normally, these are people that are looking for cash offers. Now, I hear what you're saying, and I think there are some people that do that, where, like, they market to realtors. They're like, hey, if you have a tough listing, give it to me. I'll do some work on it. You know what I mean? And they cut you in the deal. But I think the big thing that's helped us is, with it being harder on the retail, I think it's harder on the flippers, and then it's harder on the wholesalers. So for us, it's been helpful, because wholesalers, when they're getting less deals, or it's harder to move deals, they're also looking to get more creative. You know what I mean? So I've had, like, a lot of our JV partners have been people that are sending leads for the first time. You know what I mean? So it's been cool. You know what I mean? And I've seen a lot of people shuffling through. Like, there's new wholesale gurus that are like 20 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I went from being like the young guy, now I'm like the old guy, basically. You know what I mean? We all get our.
Same. I feel right there with you. I'm not even kidding.
They're like, they're calling me Unc and stuff. I'm like, oh, like, no, I'm young like you. No, stop.
Then Chris goes, now we've got the thing with the young guns, and then when he did it with the young guns, they were actually like 20 to 23, and oh man,
Right,
making me feel old.
But it's been cool. Yeah, the JV's been great, and there's new blood coming into the wholesale ecosystem, and those people, they're coming across Novations. But I think whenever things get tighter or get more difficult, people start looking for other options. And that's kind of how it was when I first started Novations. It was when the hedge funds stopped buying, and everybody was freaking out because of that, basically.
So what kind of team, to run through 200 leads a day, this is picking up the phone, having 15, 30-minute conversations with these people, or are you able to weed through, like, oh, this isn't going to work really quickly? Because 200 leads is a mountain.
A lot of leads. Yeah.
That's a great question.
I have 11 guys on my team right now.
Okay.
And with the nature of these leads, not all of them are picking up. You get what I'm saying? So part of it is my automation pinging them. But my goal is for my closers to be talking to motivated sellers for as much of the day as possible, and as little prospecting, following up. I'm like, because I was a salesman for so long, like, I know, you know what I mean? I know what I would do to, like, milk the system to try to, beat everybody else out. And it was just like, the more opportunities you can get in front of actual legitimate people that want to sell is really, really important. And honestly, part of it too is I've been blessed to have relationships with some marketing companies where I buy some leads, but, like, the lion's share of my leads I'm getting on consignment, where they get paid once the deal closes. So it's kind of a win-win, where they can offload these garbage leads with me and make money off them. And it helps me scale without, you can imagine 200 leads a day,
A lot of overhead.
$30 a lead. You know what I mean? It's adding up pretty quick over the course of a month. And a lot of my people work like 6 days a week too.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, they're on the phone a lot. And they're on the phone and like, shout out to the team. Like they work hard, you know, and that's the type of people I like to be around, is people that want to grow. All the people on my team right now too want to be leaders and want to build teams underneath them. So we're kind of, just chugging forward basically.
That's awesome.
Rich,
So what
talk.
do you
Oh.
think? How
No,
many
go for it, Chris.
200 leads? Like, how many? Like, are you like a 1 to 10 conversion? Like or are you a little bit less than that?
I wish. No, it's way less than that. Like now, out of motivated sellers that we talk to, it probably is somewhere between 1 and 10 and 1 out of 15, maybe less for some of my really good guys. And then the JV deals is a lot better than that. Like a lot of times it can be 1 out of 3, 1 out of 2, you know, depending on the relationship and all that. But yeah, like I've got a big boneyard in my CRM of leads. And honestly, like if we were paying for all these leads, we're not running that efficient in terms of like stripping all the meat off the bone. But since they're just flooding in anyways, it's like, well, let's talk to the people that are available to talk to. We'll automate the people that we don't get a hold of. And if they don't respond, we just, you know, after like a week or so, they just go on some short-term slow drip, and then they're just gone because new leads are coming in anyways. So,
Yeah.
Well, maybe speak to what that lead looks like too. So you're nationwide, you know, this is on the interwebs. So speak to what maybe if I'm a new wholesaler, I'm 20 years old living in Alabama or Florida or wherever, nowhere near Arizona, what would a lead look like if I were to want to JV with you?
Okay. So the most important thing for a deal to work for a Novation is that the seller is motivated, meaning they've decided they're going to sell, and there's normally some backstory, either with the house, with the seller, or both. So that's the key thing. If we have all that in place and there's equity in the house where they're able to accept an offer in our range, it's a beautiful lead, whether it's in a big city, it's in the middle of nowhere. But like the way we tell them to set us up is we say, hey, you know, these Novation potential deals, typically you'll know fairly early in the call that this is not a wholesale deal. And like Novation will probably be the only box this will fit in. And these are normally the bad leads. Like, you know, if you don't know about Novations, these are the ones you're like kind of running through the call because you're like, oh my gosh, it's in a town of like 2,000 people. You know, this is going to be a tough one to wholesale. But we just tell the JV partners, just do a really good discovery call where you find out as much about their situation and their house as possible. Let them know, you know, you're going to talk to your team and get back to them within a day or two with the decision. And then we have them submit like all the info on our website. It's novationjv.com. And then my team reaches out to the JV partner, and then we give JV partner a little short script on how to do the warm handoff to us. And then we call the seller with us on the phone on three-way, but the seller's not expecting us. So they're waiting for a cash offer. So we tell the partners, it's a little counterintuitive, but like, don't tell them about Novation. Don't try to like prep us
Explain
or foreshadow
it.
Yeah, it's better if they're waiting for a final decision, because once they realize the cash offer is not an option, now they're open to like new possibilities, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we do everything. We lock it up, we negotiate it, we get the realtor, we handle repairs. Like literally, the JV partner gets 40% just for that initial phone call because it's that valuable. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know, hey, a motivated seller, like we spend big bucks looking for that, so it's worth the 40%.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think most of your stuff is in smaller towns, or like you think it's 50-50?
No, it's probably like it's probably like 90% of
Okay.
towns, less than
Interesting.
I love that laugh.
20,000, and probably like
Yeah, I know, right? I noticed too.
60% are probably less than like 15,000 or 10,000. Like we do a lot in towns like 5,000, 3,000. That's kind of like our bread and butter. Not that I love those so much, but that's just kind of what I get. So I kind of like cook with what's in the kitchen. You know what I mean? So.
That's awesome. So, I mean, like you gotta like, that's just a massive machine you guys got going over there. Like, I mean, and then describe how like you pay. So you're not paying up front for the lead. The lead guy, the companies are providing you the leads. You're like, hey, if I close this one, you're getting a small percentage or just a bigger flat fee, $500, $1,000. How's that work?
No, I cut them in on a percentage. They make less than our JV partners, which get 40% for the warm handoff because it's that much more valuable. For a raw lead, I pay a little bit less than that. But like my goal, like, I don't know. I've always kind of had the mentality of like, when you make money for other people, they tend to want to be around you. They tend to, you get what I mean? They tend to stick around. They tend to want to do more
It's amazing how that works.
So you know what I mean? I'm like, because also too, they took a risk on me by just starting sending me leads. So yeah, they get a good little chunk, roughly a third of the deal on the back end. But I sleep better at night, not having like a 6-figure marketing overhead budget. And I tell my guys all the time, I'm like, look, we are so fortunate to be in this position. Like we have to make sure we perform for these people because this is like not a normal thing. Like this is like, getting all these leads like this. So it's been very fortunate.
Well, and like you said too, what's kind of cool is that, you already know if these are going to be people who are active in real estate for a long time, you do a good deal with them and you do well by them and they're happy with how it went with you. Same thing. I view the same thing as how how Chris is with people. When people first get started with Chris, he doesn't rip like a 30K wholesale right off the bat on the very first person. And then they feel like, oh, well, I probably could have made a little bit more. I could have gone somewhere else. Chris gives you some, and then he gets a little bit for himself as well, where it's like, it makes sense for them to continue wanting to work with you and to kind of start building that long-term future.
Yeah. And like guys like Spencer, you know what I mean? Also,
right.
You know what I mean? People just do a million deals with him. And that's kind of like when I was coming up, I was like, kind of like looking out like, okay, he's doing big things. This is kind of hit Chris. Okay. Yeah. And just kind of peeping that out. So,
well, talk about that a little bit, Rich, because you've niched down. And I think if you were to ask the average investor, maybe if I were to guess 2 or 3 of them would be able to explain Novation in terms that anyone could understand. So I don't think the majority of investors are still quite qualified to wrap their heads around it. But that said, you've niched down on that on social media. You've grown a large social media base as well within that niche. So how does that help your business as well? Because, you come across very humble, but for people that follow you on Instagram, they've seen your penthouse. I've had the luck of being able to visit your penthouse. It's amazing. So how have you been able to use your social media as you've grown your business? And do you see this niche, staying around for the next 10 years until the next cycle?
10 years. I hope so. I don't know. It's weird because there's legislation with it, and it's social media completely changed my life. Completely. Yeah. Everybody on my team I met through social media. All of you I met through social media. My lead partners I met through social media.
It's true, it's crazy.
One of the lead people that send me 100 leads a day. They saw me on a podcast that still to this day, I think has like 400 something views on it. But from doing that podcast, I got this relationship where we made hundreds of thousands of dollars together or whatever, right? It's been a great relationship. So for anybody in real estate, since it's so relationship based and so trust based, right? It's very important, right? If you can't trust somebody, I don't care what kind of deal it is. I don't even want to be around them. You know what I mean? Because I know first chance they get. So with the social media, constantly putting yourself out there, one, it keeps you accountable too. You know what I mean? Like you got to live up to, the things that you preach and everything like that. But two, it puts out your vibe and you get to attract like-minded people. You know what I mean? When you're your authentic self and people meet you in real life and like, oh my gosh, like you're just how I would expect you to be. You know what I mean? It's awesome because you're just like, people used to pay big bucks for people's attention. And now we have these little devices where all we have to do is put out effort, and we can attract the things that we're looking for. So yeah, it's beautiful. I feel very blessed. I look
I think
back,
that's.
I'm like, man, it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
that long ago I was selling vacuums door to door.
I was just about to say your
Motel
background is,
6.
yeah.
It's crazy. You know what I mean?
That's-
But it just
I think that's one
goes to show
reason
the
why.
vehicle you pick makes a big difference. I was good at selling Kirby's, but it never got me a penthouse. So
That's the TikTok
right.
clip right there.
Exactly, no joke. That's one thing I love about you, Rich, is that exactly what you said as well, is that, you can watch somebody in videos, but then when you actually go to meet them, are they the same type of a person? And I mean, there's many people in this industry where you see how they portray themselves, via social media. And then when you do meet them, it's like, it's not really the same. Where I can say firsthand, with you, you're 100% how you are, in person as well. So, that's one thing I love about you. You're a real dude. You're straight up, you practice what you preach, and that's what I love.
I love that. And I can say the same about all three of you. And you all are extremely successful, extremely humble, overly humble, maybe. Like maybe y'all could, y'all done some big things. But yeah, it's very cool. And it's good. That's how people like us link up and end up doing cool stuff. So I appreciate you. Yeah, I've got massive respect for all three of you. So.
Well, and for those of you that didn't catch our conversation before we went live, I was joking with Rich about seeing his Instagram where he was riding one of his kids. What is it, like a little Mercedes or something around the
A little
outside?
go-kart. Yeah, we have some go-karts we ride around.
But around the outside of his house. And I was like, man, there's some rich people shit right here. So definitely go follow him on Insta. Yeah.
So what do you think the best Instagram videos? You just sitting on the couch, just chatting through a sales call? Like what was like the thing that broke out the most on your Instagram?
You know what? The doing the live calls built my whole life. And it didn't none of them went viral. None of them, you know what I mean? I didn't get crazy views, and I ran ads. I ran Instagram ads for up until about a year ago, where I was spending between $2,000 and $5,000 a month, like trying to build my page. But I made a very intentional decision in the beginning that I wanted to get rich. I didn't want to get it wasn't about getting famous. Like I wanted to attract people that would do business with me. You know what I mean? Rather than just going for whatever would get the attention or the eyeballs.
Vanity
you know what
metric.
I mean? Yeah.
So yeah, like I went live every day for like several years. You know what I mean? I would do free stuff. I would go in Facebook groups and, hey, does anybody have any questions about Novations? Just close, yada, yada, yada. And just shake hands and kiss babies, and just kept putting myself out there. And we all do this, right? Where you see someone putting themselves out there, we give them like a probationary period of like, all right, let's see if you're around in a month. You know what I mean? You're talking all that, whatever, right? And you just consistently do it, and the right people will eventually, will notice. And that's kind of how it all started. Was the live calls were a big thing, and just trying to be valuable. You know what I mean? Like it sucks because like you'll put out a video where you're like, oh my gosh, this was like.
This is gonna slap.
Took hours. I just learned. Like the goat strikes again. This is gonna be a banger. You know what I mean? And like nobody cares. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, fine, but whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll catch up to it later. You know what I mean?
The mental gymnastics.
I justify them all as a success. Yeah. Every post is just
So I got one more question.
Yeah,
I see the little battles with some of the wholesalers out there, and I'm
not. Let's talk about it.
I'm not getting on the comments. I'm not digging into it. So I'm just watching what you're saying. So and this is just me wondering. I'm like, is he really having a fight, or he's like, I'm going to go teach all you wholesalers for free, or is that kind of a little bit of a magnet? Hey, wholesalers, come into my class for a few, and I'm going to teach you how to add a little tool that you're going to come back and bring me some deals.
I mean, why can't it be both? You know what I mean?
No, it totally can be.
For sure. No, that's what sparked it, was people that were making all their money selling courses and us butting heads on certain things. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just give it away for free. And then the other part of it is it really is like it's been an amazing pipeline for team members. out of my, I think I have 11 people right now, 11 or 12. And like, I had like 4 of those people are not from that free course. And the other, 7 or 8 are all from there. So
Oh, wow.
I teach the intro to wholesaling, how to do discovery calls, how to negotiate and do anchor calls, how to comp, like all the basics, but I don't teach it from the perspective of like, hey, if you got 75 cents in your pocket and a big old dream, this is what you do. Like my whole thing is like, hey, listen, if you want to do this right, 1, you got to get really good at sales. 2, you either need to have the bread to bring in consistent marketing, or you need to align with someone that does. Because if you're trying to do this, like, duct taping it together, you're going to waste a bunch of time. And I don't have, you know what I mean? I don't have ambitions of like just running through a bunch of new people. I knew like I wasn't going to be the guy that's going live every day in there. This is my new thing of like, I teach new people how to call people on Zillow or whatever. So it's really high level stuff. And a lot of the stuff in the free training is literally the exact same stuff in my paid training. And there's actually additional stuff that's in the free training that's not in the paid training, but it's been amazing. The free thing was we've had a lot of JV deals coming through there. So it's been great and people are getting value out of it. And I'm like, well, one day no one's even going to care about novations or wholesale or any of this. So I'm like, what am I holding on to these like secrets for? Because most people aren't even going to do the work anyways. So I'm like, look, if I can be valuable, like a person that can actually benefit from this is going to see the value in what I'm doing when you get what I'm saying? Like a person that's never going to make it in wholesale, my course is going to be boring for them. They don't care. It's too many videos. You get what I'm saying? But if like someone has the ambition and the intelligence and they're like, I wish someone that actually knew what they were doing, that wasn't trying to sell me some crap, would just give me the answers and I'll figure it out on my own. Like that, those are the people I was trying to attract. And, that's how a lot of them end up coming into the pipeline for working on my team. Cause they're like, wow, I'm bought into the process. I'm bought into like the way you do business and it, send me the leads. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make money, not like, have all these new liabilities. You know what I mean? So It's been good. It's been good.
That's awesome.
It's 100%. It's 100% with you can give all the secrets because the people aren't willing to do the work. That is so accurate.
Sure.
I mean, the thing is that it's like seriously, you can let it all out there because nobody's going to sit there on the phone and call for 4 hours a day, or nobody's willing to do the things that they need to do to get to where you are. And so, it's very true.
Well, that's one of the things I didn't want to glaze over that you had said, and Luke, you've talked about when you got started as well. Like you dropped this little phrase, Rich, that again, I just want to highlight where you said, I did this for years. So we were asking like where it really, what your start was in real estate. And you're like, hey, I was doing lives for years and I was in Facebook groups and I was doing this and I was doing that. And I think people, they want the easy button, and that's human nature, right? That's forgivable. But what they often want to figure out is, how do I get to where you're at in like a year? And it's nearly impossible unless you were grinding so much that it becomes an obsession. And when people ask about balance and work-life balance, listen, I'd love your guys' opinion. I think when you're getting started, the B word is not your friend. It's going to be a grind. And then when you reach a certain level, certainly you can recalibrate. But for those of you listening, wondering, how do I get started? It's a lot of work. Put in the work for a very long amount of time. And you'll get past that trajectory of where most people quit, give up, don't want to adapt. And that's where a lot of us have been through. All of us have been through it at this point. So, Rich, what do you think about that?
I love that. And it really is like real estate is really a lifestyle business. It's not like a skill that you just learn and now you have this skill. It's something that, for anyone starting out, I would just go all in 100 miles an hour. And if you don't hate it, keep going. And if you do hate it, go find something else it's tough. I worked for someone for 2 years. I worked for Sean Terry and it was great. I would have never made it on my own. You know what I mean? I've surpassed what my original vision was of like, I want this amount of money and I want this life and all this, you know what I mean? I've already like hit that, you know what I mean? So it's crazy. Like it's the old wise thing of like, the more you know, the more you realize that like you don't know much, and there's people that know so much more, and you start getting a little bit of money, and what you thought was like so much money, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so poor. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, there's always levels to it. So I would tell anyone too, starting out, enjoy the ride. Yeah, there's not going to be balance, especially in the beginning, but you can still make time for the things that are most important, like your family, your faith, your health. You know what I mean? Those are non-negotiable, because if you sacrifice those for work, like, what's the point? You know what I mean? The whole point is, like, not just to make money. Like, we want to make money to live a good life.
Right.
Yeah. No, there isn't you have to be all in, because if you're not all in, you're competing with too many people that are all in, that already know more than you and have more money and resources than you and more connections. So in the beginning too, aligning with people that you admire that do good business is super important.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the key. Cause like, oh man, like a new person coming and like working with Luke or working with you, Tracy, or working with Chris, like, it's like having the answers to the test. You're not trying to figure everything out. Like, you get what I'm saying? You can just talk to someone that's been an operator for a long time, and there's just certain things they just know that's not intuitive. So getting around good people is definitely really important.
100%.
Yeah, sure.
Rich, I had a mentor of mine, probably about 15 to 20 years ago. And he had said that if you treat something like a job, it will pay you as a job. If you treat something as a hobby, it will pay you as a hobby. And I think I just love that saying, because, you hear these people that get into real estate and then they're kind of like, oh, I'll dabble around and kind of see how it works. And it's like, it's going to cost you, it's going to cost you, because it's like, you're treating it as a hobby. You're kind of coming in, you're going to pay for it as a hobby. It's not going to pay you if you're just kind of dipping a toe in.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true. And 80% of the effort doesn't give you 80% of the results. You have to hit that.
Right.
You have to hit that threshold to actually make money in this. Like, you can get lots of contracts and no paydays, so that's so
Super
true.
important. Tons of gems dropped today.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we like to keep it like at 30 minutes. Rich, thanks for jumping on. We always appreciate it. And obviously you do something so unique that you're kind of the only guy that jumps on here that talks about Novation. So we appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys too. Appreciate you, definitely.
Of course. Come back anytime.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hey, thanks for watching that episode. And this is the start of your real estate journey. There's over 100 episodes and a bunch of playlists. And please hit subscribe before you move on to the next video.